The year 2024 started the way most West Indies cricket fans and cricketers expected it. West Indies going down by 10 wickets to Australia in the first Test match. By January 28th, Sunday morning, 2 a.m. Jamaica time, there was a loud bang that echoed across the cricketing world as West Indies defeated Australia in a test match for the first time in more than a generation. During the year 2024, there were many ups for West Indies cricket and there were many downs. It ended with Sean Diaz saying that the West Indies cricket team is no good. This morning, I have invited Basil Butcher Jr., Dwight Chattul, and Bobby Brown to discuss the ups and lows in West Indies cricket for 2024. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the #1 cricket channel in the Caribbean. A happy new year to you if I have not seen you before. And may God bless you through in 2025. Gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the show. Also, I must mention welcome to the listeners and West Indies Cricket Then and Now who are joining us for this collaboration. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning to Bobby Brown. Good morning to Dwight Chattul. Good morning to all your listeners and viewers. And I would like to wish everyone a new year of life, health, and prosperity.
Morning, Carlton. Morning, Bobby. Morning, Basil. Morning as well to your listeners. It's great to be back. Happy New Year to you all.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning. Good morning to the Cricket Forum. Good morning, world. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Basil. Happy New Year, Dwight.
Yes, gentlemen, as I said in the introduction, the year 2024 was one of ups and downs for West Indies cricket. While we reached the semi-final of the Women T20 World Cup, the men who we had high expectation for never made it out of the Super 8. We saw in India the women team going down 3-0 at the end of the year as if to just cap a miserable year. Gentlemen, we are going to first look at that outstanding performance of the year. I have asked each gentleman to list what performance they think was the outstanding performance of the year. I do not know if all three gentlemen have the same thing, but I guess there may be some surprises. Let's start with you, Basil Butcher. You being here first, and welcome to the fans on West Indies Cricket Then and Now. Go ahead, sir, with your best performance, more impactful.
Yes, as I went through the top performers in West Indies cricket for the year 2024, it came down to several players, and the players, not in no particular order: Hayley Matthews, Sharfin Rutherford, Casey Carty, Akil Hussain, and Gotikesh Moti. And as I would talk about each one of them, Casey Carty was the number one top scorer in ODI. Sharfin Rutherford was our number 2 scorer. And Rutherford also had a tremendous strike rate of over 100. And he also was one of the shortlisted the top 4 people to be ODI Player of the Year in World Cricket, and he's also on the ICC ODI team. Gotikesh Moti, Akil Hussain first was our top T20 bowler, and he's ranked the number 1 T20 bowler in the world. Gotikesh Moti was our top bowler in both the 50 over and the 2020, and he is number 3 or number 4 ranked in the T20. However, after looking over everybody, Hayley Matthews was our number 1 in both T20 and ODIs in runs. She was 3rd in the in the T20 for wickets. She was second for wickets in the ODI, and she was number 4 in the world in scoring runs in ODI. So when I looked at all of those things, I have to say Hayley Matthews was our player of the year. She carried the West Indies team. If she is Atlas 2.2 in the current era. For those who don't know who was Atlas, Atlas was the great Master George Headley. That was his nickname because he carried the world on his shoulders, i.e. the West Indies team. In similar fashion today, Hayley Matthews does the same. So for me, Hayley Matthews is the West Indies cricketer of 2024.
Yeah, yes, Basil, but what we wanted there is which one of the performance, the single most outstanding performance of the year. So we're going to come back to you for your single most outstanding impact performance of the year. So let's go with Bobby, because Bobby was here before Dwight. So Bobby, what performance was your single most impactful performance of the year?
I think everybody know. I try to look and see if I see any other performances that got close to it. There was one that got close to it. It was remarkable. It was in the T20 World Cup by Rutherford. But this is probably the best performance I've seen from a West Indies player and West Indies in general for probably the last 10 years. And it's that early morning at the Gabba. To see Hazelwood Stump get knocked over, I mean, that was something else. I remember the day or the night, I started to watch the match. I didn't think we could win. I thought, Australia would cruise. Shamar wasn't there. I saw him, came on the field, started to feel, I'm like, okay, maybe we can see something here. And then I remember when he started to bowl, knock over Cam Green. At that time, I was still like, I don't know. And then he just started to rip through Australia. And the feeling that morning was just something special, across the whole world, not just for West Indies fans, the whole cricketing world was shaken by that. So that's my moment of 2024.
Over to you, Dwight. What was your moment of 2024?
I'm 100% in agreement with Bobby, and we'll strangle Basil if he says something else. It must have been that test match in Brisbane, to see Shamar Rutherford, to see Shamar Joseph bowl the way that he did, and everything that led up to that moment as well. I mean, people remember that we were demolished in the first test. We were so badly beaten. There was a former Australian cricketer who absolutely rubbished the team and literally called us garbage. Literally said that what we're out there doing, we're garbage. And people questioned the place of West Indies in Test cricket at that point in time. And to see not only just the way in which we responded in that Test match, but everything that led up to that final day, the injury that he had, the doubt concerning whether or not he'd be able to bowl on that final day, and him coming in with the injury, going in, running in, bowling as well as he did, and winning the match in the way that it did. The performance echoed right across the cricketing world. It wasn't just a West Indian thing. It was a performance that was just recognized across the entire cricketing landscape as being absolutely amazing. That, for me, was the West Indian performance of the year.
Thank you very much, Dwight. Basil?
Yes, sorry, I misinterpreted the question. Yes, it is not even a close second. Shamar Joseph's feat at Brisbane is clearly, in my view, it was the number one, not just from West Indies perspective, it was the number one cricket performance of the year 2024, period. That performance was outstanding, beyond to bowl with a bar toe and running and bowl with such pace and bowl West Indies to victory. Having not beaten Australia in over 20-something years in Australia, to pull off a feat which none of us, when that West Indies team left the shores, thought they could even compete in a test match, and our fears seemed to be realized following the first test where we were soundly trashed, and then to turn around and to get up off the mat and pull off such an astounding victory, led by Shamar Joseph, was something else. And I must give an honorable mention to the coach of the team, because a lot of people don't realize, when your team gets soundly beaten, one of the roles of a coach is to get the guys focused on the next task at hand, and not to be feeling sorry about themselves, and infuse positivity and those things and self-belief to the guys that they could pull this off. So I got to give a special mention to the coach, the coaching staff, in terms of them winning that game in Australia.
Thank you very much, Basil. It is very easy for everyone to agree that Shamar Joseph's performance on that Sunday morning, as I mentioned then, echoed across the cricketing world. We, however, must not forget that it was a bilateral series. How could you compare it to a World Cup? And I repeat, a World Cup performance in West Indies were struggling at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy against a New Zealand team that was hunting their place in the semi-final of the World Cup. If West Indies had lost that match, it is very likely that they would not have made the round to the Super 8. With West Indies struggling, Shafane Rutherford played a masterful innings of 68 not out of 39 deliveries, giving West Indies something to defend. A very paltry total, which not even the greatest of admirers in West Indies cricket expected us to defend it. But here comes Alzarri Joseph, bowling at high pace as he took 4 for 19 out of his 4 overs. 4 for 19. But who can also forget Akeal Hussain, 4 for 11 in a World Cup cricket match. 4 for 11. Why then is Shamar Joseph's performance so outstanding when you compare it to these performances in a World Cup? It may well be the best performance of the year, but according to Bobby, Dwight, and Basil, the gap is so wide, and I disagree. I totally disagree that the gap is so wide. Gentlemen, I put it to you that it may well be the performance of the year, but the gap is not very, very wide. Let's start it with you, Bobby.
You want me to talk about the gap between them?
You're right.
I mean, like I said, that was my second best moment. But I mean, when a test match to a T20, when you look at the circumstances,
it's a T20 World Cup.
World
Cup.
Yeah, World Cup. I mean, I think 5 years from now, a lot of people will forget that performance, and they will still remember that early morning at the Gabba. So, there's just something about a test match, and given the fact that nobody thought that West Indies had a chance, nobody thought we had a chance, especially after Shamar Joseph gotten that broken toe. Nobody, not even me, thought we had a chance of winning that game.
Who thought that we had a chance in the World Cup? Who thought that we had a chance in the World Cup, Dwight?
I thought so.
No, come on.
That pitch wasn't easy to bat on. So I thought we had a chance when New Zealand went to bat. It was superb from Rutherford. It was superb batting, especially in the last 2 overs. But at the innings break, I thought we had a chance because that pitch was very tough to bat on.
Come on, Carlton. Come on. It's far more likely for the West Indies T20 team to beat New Zealand in a T20 match. Worse yet, if it was a do-or-die T20 match. Rather than to expect the West Indies to have gone down to Australia and to have won a test match. This is test match cricket, and the gap between Australia and the West Indies cricket team is immense. The gap between the West Indies and New Zealand a T20 team is not. So I understand all that you're saying about, man, this was a critical win and thing. Just based on degree of difficulty alone, what Shamar did was far more impressive than what anybody did in that T20 game. Secondly, you keep calling it a bilateral series. You need to remember that these test matches count in qualifying for the finals of the World Test Championship. In the same way, a group game is important in qualifying for the finals of the World Cup or getting through to the next world. So I don't understand why you just say it's just a bilateral series. The system is different. There are two tournaments going on, and we had a big game in one tournament that we won and was valuable points at that point in time in the tournament. And the same thing happened in a World Cup tournament. So I don't agree with you. I think the gap is wide.
I put it to you, Basil, that the pressure on Shafane Rutherford on that Wednesday night at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy, with more persons, millions more persons worldwide watching that match, more than the match at Brisbane. I put it to you that with the West Indies expected not to win that match in Brisbane, that there was less pressure on Shamar Joseph than the pressure that was on Shafane Rutherford in Trinidad, with West Indies playing a home T20 World Cup match, a match that they must have to win to go through. And we're not talking about the match, we're talking about the performance. Wasn't there less pressure on Shamar Joseph, an unknown Shamar Joseph, than what was on Shafane Rutherford, Basil Butcher Jr.?
No, I mean, somebody might say yes, on the outside looking in, yes, it would seem there was less pressure because Rutherford West Indies was tottering and came in and had to push around, and then exploded in the last 2 overs of that game, right? But Shamar Joseph was bowling on a foot that he was not even expected to participate. That alone is pressure in itself in a test match, a keenly fought test match that when West Indies started to get wickets, they felt they could win this game, and he ran in. It seemed like every ball he bowled faster than the one before on that foot. You know, that performance is a performance that will be remembered for generations. Rutherford, as Bobby said, most people don't remember. It's only the cricket pundits remember Rutherford's performance, but even the casual cricket fan remembers Shamar Joseph's performance, and that performance was celebrated by the entire cricket world. You had people from all corners of the cricket world commenting on that performance, and it was a virtual David beating Goliath, right? And as Chato correctly stated, it was a competition match, because I will note Australia lost 2 test matches in the year 2024, one being to the quote-unquote lowly West Indies led by Shamar Joseph, and the last one they lost the first test of this series against India. So that even puts more in the context of how tremendous that win and that performance was there, Carlton.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Then it comes to the real point that I want to make, because I got you all where I want you.
I like that.
Over the years, there have been many talk that Test cricket is dying. T20 cricket is taking over.
Mm-hmm.
So why a performance in a test match will be long remembered, and the performances in T20 World Cup cricket are forgotten? What is this talk about, gentlemen, about test cricket is dying? Isn't test cricket alive and well as you gentlemen just admitted. Let's start with you this time, Dwight Chateau. Isn't Test cricket alive? Isn't Test cricket the most watched format? Isn't Test cricket the pinnacle of cricket? Isn't Test cricket the game that persons always remember? Over to you, Dwight Chateau.
But I shouldn't be answering this question because I'm obsessed with Test cricket. All right, and I think no, I shouldn't be. Because I'm obsessed with Test cricket. And I think as a product, and this is just my opinion, I think it's so much more fascinating than what happens in the other formats. I think we are very quick to forget what happens, what took place in a one-day game or in a T20 game. And the things that happen in a test match stand out almost for eternity. I mean, that's just how it is. As a cricketer, if you want to make some money, yeah, definitely. The way the thing is structured now, you go and play T20 cricket. But if you want to be remembered as a great cricketer, you have to be looking at establishing yourself as a test cricketer. When the West Indies Cricket Board goes to negotiate broadcast rights, and this is about money, they are winning those rights not on the basis of what happens in their T20 or the history in T20 cricket or their history in ODI cricket. It's the history that we have in Test cricket. We just saw a phenomenal series with India and Australia. The daily watch, I think, was something like 75,000 people per game, per day in a test match, attending a test match. I think they ended up with something like 370-something thousand in all. I think that test match cricket is a bigger game than T20 or ODI cricket. But I'm a test match fanatic.
Dwight, Bobby, this argument that test cricket is dying, put it to bed for me, rubbish it. There are some persons who, because of what you would call not the ability to see through it, think, and you'll hear them say, Test cricket is dying, Test cricket is dying. Bobby, tell us why Test cricket is not dying, please.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we are hearing you loud and clear.
Yeah, I think those people who make those arguments are either people who are very young and haven't really watched Test cricket yet, or people who have agenda against Test cricket, people who are looking to, change the face of cricket. But Test cricket will always be cricket. People call you a purist if you like Test cricket. And I said, no, Test cricket is cricket. That's where cricket is from. The day Test cricket is gone is the day cricket is gone in itself. So Test cricket will always be the pinnacle of cricket. I think you cannot be a legend without playing Test cricket, right? And the guy who is arguably, who people say is the best player of Test cricket, when you often hear about him, people always talk about his Test stats. People always say, oh, he has 2 triple centuries. They forget about all the stuff he done in T20 cricket. So Test cricket for me will always be cricket. And if West Indies can get back to doing good in Test cricket, West Indies can solve a lot of their problems.
Basil, at the end of the 4th Test match, which Dwight mentioned, where over 373,000 spectators attend that match, paying spectators, almost 374,000. Ravi Sastry said, as I understand the hurt and the pain that he was going through, Ravi Sastry said that Test cricket should be divided into 2 groups. Like a group 1 and a group 2, and you have elimination and qualification. Now, I look at that as a narrow-minded comment from someone who was hurting a lot. Cricket, in particular Test cricket, is the only sport that people seems to be calling for there to be less quality at the top. Every other sport want more quality at the top. But for some reason, persons want to have less high quality Test cricket. Isn't Test cricket a better product Basil Butcher Jr., if there are more teams performing at the level that India and Australia is performing, wouldn't it be a better product for the world if you have 20 teams that can beat India, Australia, and England on any day? Why is it that these gentlemen want to keep it to themselves, and what damage is it being done to Test cricket? Go ahead, Basil Butcher Jr.
Yeah, firstly, I've heard Shastri positing that narrative in the past. And I would point to American professional sports leagues. When there was a time when those leagues, when the season started, pretty much everybody knew which was the two teams or the 3 or 4 teams that had a chance to win the championship. The rest was just playing out the season. But as parity became the mantra across the leagues became more popular because everybody felt their team had a chance. For the most part, most teams had a chance to get to the championship. So similarly with cricket, you know, they talk about Test cricket being dead. Test cricket, once you have exciting players and competitive Test cricket, people will come to see it. Look at South Africa, this current Test match between them and Pakistan. It is a wonder to watch and see the crowds that are coming out. And not only what is most wonderful about the crowds I'm watching in South Africa is the number of youngsters that are coming to the game, you know, and the excitement you see on the youngsters' face because you're getting some competitive cricket. You have exciting players playing cricket, right? And so therefore, the challenge of the cricketing environment, administrators, ICC, etc., is to facilitate an environment where all people get access to the requisite resources to develop their players so that they can have competitive teams, not what we have here today. And then we will see an improvement in the numbers, like say when they come and play Test cricket here in the Caribbean and so on, right? But until they do that, we're gonna always have this dichotomy of where we must get promotion. So I mean, who's gonna come on? We want to watch West Indies play Ireland. I mean, you put sending us to the Siberia.
All right, Dwight. And this is, I know, before we go into the issue of what was the worst performance from the West Indies during the year 2024, I guess most of you know where I stand on that. But Dwight, the numbers. You are a man of numbers. 374,000 persons watching the match. Roughly $100 spent from each one of those spectators. We are looking at $80 million at a conservative average. That is more money from that one Test match. Well, $40 million, not 80. I was looking at the numbers over the series, which was about $80 million, $85 million from the series.
But just
that is more money than what Cricket West Indies make for the entire year from just one cricket series because of the quality of the players. Isn't that where the issue is, Dwight? We developing quality players so we can bring in the money so that Ireland, Zimbabwe, Afghanistan, all developing quality players so we maintain that high standard, Dwight?
Let me get you right. That I don't want to answer something that you're not that you didn't ask. You're saying that you believe, and by the way, I think that Ravi Shastri is an idiot for the comment that he made. That's just my personal view. I just think it was an absolutely stupid response, and I think it's founded in just being hurt about the series. But to your question, are you saying that you believe for us to make that sort of money, all we need to do is to develop quality cricketers?
Yes, once we develop the quality product, persons will want to watch the product. We in the Caribbean will not make that because our stadiums clearly hold 20, 30,000 persons. So we'll not make the 80 million, but we will still make enough money to able to compete and continue to compete at a high level?
Well, I don't think we'll be able to make that sort of money, period. And I think we won't be able, no matter how good our cricketers are, because I don't think we have the access to the market like India does. So I think the secret really is in revenue sharing. If I am bringing quality to the table, and because of the quality that I'm bringing to the table, like back in the good old days when the West Indies team was the very best team in the world, we weren't making the money. We made money because the way the deal was negotiated back then is that we could tell we could tell England what we wanted to be paid when we go on tour England, because that was where the money was. The money was on tour in England and being able to get a cut of whatever it is that they make. So as it is set up right now, we still won't make money if even if we create even if we have the best cricketers in the world. I think the secret is in making modification to the deals that we have right now, and regions being able to get a cut of the total pie. So when we tour Australia, we should be able to get some of that money. That and developing your cricketers, I think, is the secret to making money in cricket.
Thank you very much. Before we go to look at the worst performance for the year for 2024, I just want to acknowledge the persons in the live chat. Merrick, good morning to you. It's a pleasure having you here. Envoy must be a very happy man. He's from South Africa. So greetings and welcome. Anthony Jervis, good morning to you also. We appreciate you. Brian H is saying that, good morning to you, Brian H. Carlton must have put something extra in his drink this morning to come up with this argument. I think he's talking about whether it was Shamar Joseph or Shafeen Rutherford or Alzari Joseph 4 for 17 or Akil Hussain 4 for 11. But there is it that I have Brian H. exactly where I want him to, just like the rest of you, to show you that it's really Test cricket is the big thing. Because at the face of it, oh gosh, sorry about that, gentlemen. Sorry about that. I must say sorry about that. What happened is that Kobe Menu just missed a sitter to give Manchester United the lead. So sorry about that. But the point that I am making is that Test cricket is really the big thing. So Sheldon Smith is saying good morning all. And Sheldon is saying that Test cricket is cricket. T20 is entertainment. How do you react to that, Bobby?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. T20 is just, entertain the crowd. We forget about it tomorrow. But Test cricket is the thing that lives on for centuries.
Who's wearing the 16? It's Ahmad. It's not Menu. Go ahead, Bobby.
Yeah, just like what Sheldon said, Test cricket is cricket and T20 cricket is just entertainment. I remember I saw some people and they were telling me that they used to go to the Talawas games, some girls. And they said they don't even know who was playing. They don't know anything. They just go there to drink and jump when a 6 hit.
Thank you very much. Bangladesh is saying that why is Akil Hussain not in the poll? Well, Akil Hussain is not in the poll because of elimination. I think that Dwight have something to say about this. Answer this one for us, Dwight.
No, you need to answer because I told you from before that poll, Akil has to be in that poll. Who is the number one T20 bowler we have now? Oh, I was saying, who is the only West Indian player who is number one on anything? And then he had a phenomenal year. His bowling average was something like 20. I know that some people love Jaden Sears. He's my boy as well. When he came back, he performed well. But in terms of the total body of work, Akil Hussain has to be in that shortlist, Carlton. Carlton, man, you put too much stuff in the drink this morning, man. You put too much stuff in the drink.
That shortlist, I keep on saying that although I posted that shortlist, it was not generated by me. It was generated by some consensus. Basil, I hope you can understand Blair Boyd, and I hope you can respond to him. Basil Butcher Jr., I guess you are too young to know this. ODI was introduced in 1971. I hope he learns to spell, though. And the majority of players only good at Test cricket because they cannot adjust themselves. he continued by saying that Test cricket is outdated, and any batsman who cannot adjust to all formats of the game, they are very limited, just like Gale, Samuels. Only 2 West Indies batsmen can easily adjust them. If you understand those points, Basil, could you reply to them?
First of all, I'm not too young. I might look very young, but I'm not too young. I remember when those cricket when the first one-day games started to play, but they were hardly played any. Then the first World Cup, I can remember it like yesterday in 1975. So I'm not that young. His point about a batsman being limited in terms of adjusting formats, that it's more an approach. It's not necessarily a limited batsman. Limited batsman is usually in terms of array of stroke play. And Test cricket, the reason they call it Test cricket, because it is the only format in the sport that tests every aspect of your being when you play that game, right? There are many guys who are good at T20 and ODI that are absolute jokers when they come to play Test cricket. So I think Mr. Blair Boyd, flip it the other way around. Those are the guys who are limited, the ones who cannot make the adjustment. Because remember, in Test cricket, I got 3 slips, a gully waiting behind there with the new ball. How many times do we see T20 players be nicking off and it gone for 4? If it was a test match, they would have been back in the pavilion. That's why guys like Shea Hope is a joker in Test cricket, but he's a great white ball player because he nicks off all the time. And in Test cricket, he's back in the pavilion. That's why he has a 20-something average. So put that in your pipe and smoke it, Mr. Blair Boyd.
Thank you.
Yeah, Basil.
Sheldon, I will allow you to continue, Bobby, but you can also react to what Sheldon is saying. So you can reply to what Basil is saying and also react to what Sheldon is saying, Bobby.
Okay, yeah, Basil, I've always said that in Test cricket, most of the players who have problems in white ball cricket is normally strike rate issue. It's not a technique issue. People who play white ball, when they come to red ball, is a technique issue they have.
Yes.
Technique. Correct. So yeah. Blair have it the other way around.
Exactly.
But now to Sheldon, well, Brathwaite is not playing all by himself. There will be other players. You'll have 10 other players. So there are different horses for courses, they say.
Correct. And just to add to answer to what Bobby just said, Larry Gomes played in the Great West Indies teams. Larry was not a flamboyant batsman, but we had the Viv Richards, we had Clive Lloyd, we had Gordon Greenidge, Lawrence Rowe, Alvin Kalicharan. So we had plenty others to go and watch. And then we had our great fast bowlers. So you're so correct, Bobby.
I don't understand, Sheldon.
Coming to you, Dwight. I'll allow you to talk shortly. Another point, even in this test match that just finished between Australia and India, there was the strike rate, especially in the first innings for both teams, were less than 3. We saw play even earlier in the series. I thought Lobachain bat something like 60-yard ball for 3 runs.
Exactly.
But yet still they packed in and watch it. So
exactly.
Good point you're making, gentlemen. But over to you, Dwight.
I don't understand Sheldon. Sheldon Smith is saying, who is going to spend 5 days of their holidays to watch Brathwaite? Now, my question to Sheldon was, suppose he could watch the West Indies beat Australia as they did in January of last year. Wasn't Brathwaite in that team? Yes, he was in that team.
Yes.
All right. Would you have spent good money to have gone and watched that game? Or would you have said, no, I'm not going to go because Brathwaite is in that game? A lot of this conversation about whether or not people will go and watch this game or that game is rooted in whether or not the team is winning or losing. Because we're winning some T20 games, people will go and watch that. But I guarantee you that if we were not winning T20 games, people would find it to be a waste to go and watch the T20 team. Likewise, if we are winning test match cricket, nobody would be interested in Brathwaite batting slowly.
This one is also for you, Dwight. I'll come to you shortly, Basil.
Okay.
Was the West Indies cricketers produced in colonial times better than the West Indies cricketers produced today?
That's interesting.
When they say colonial times, they're talking what? Pre-independence,
Yes, yes,
pre-1962.
yes.
No, but that can't be true.
No.
We had I think one great team before independence. I think Basil can pick me up, and I think that was the 19. That was a team with his father
Yeah,
and thing.
that wasn't pre-independence.
Oh, okay. But Basil, you
Yeah, yeah.
wanted to make a point.
No,
Thank you.
what I wanted,
Thank you.
I wanted to add something. I I had a women's team I coached here in the U.S. and included I had several women who were white. A couple of them are Americans. There was one girl in particular. She played soccer in college and high school, and she came and played cricket with us, right, and learned to play the game. And I asked her, "How you got around to this cricket?" While she was in college, the famous Ashes of 2005 against England and Australia was playing. And she had fellow college students who were English. And they excited watching the test match. And she got into the test to watching cricket with test match. So I've always bristled at this notion where people would talk about Americans particularly, have no connection to cricket, would never even fathom being interested in test cricket. She was one. I remember we going to Atlanta to play a women's tournament, we drive in, and England and Australia was playing again, and she got her phone and she watching the test match. When I used to come to the Caribbean to watch test cricket, I met Americans who were traveling with the Bermudas. I remember the American guy from New Jersey in Antigua. I said, "How you got into cricket?" He said, "Well, I used to spend my summers in Bermuda as a school teacher, and Bermuda has this thing called Cup Match, a big cricket match where the whole island shuts down for the weekend. And he used to go there, and then he started coming with Bermudans to the West Indies to follow West Indies play, and the guy could carry on a very intelligent conversation about test cricket." So I agreed with Chato. If we have exciting players, and that is the issue, you have to have exciting players, people going to come out to watch test cricket.
Gentlemen, finally on this one, Athena is saying, do you think that Tanti Merle will attend a T20 or a test match?
Test match.
I thank you. Gentlemen, as I said, we have looked at the greatest performances this year for the West Indies. Now, gentlemen, we're going to look at that single worst performance this year for the West Indies, the one that you felt so bad about. I started with Basil for the best performance. Let me now start with Bobby Brown for the worst performance of the year. Go ahead, Bobby.
Does it have to be on the field or off the field?
It does. It can be anywhere. What do you think was the worst thing in West Indies cricket in 2024?
Careful, Bobby. Careful.
I never go with on the field. I would have to say that Trent Bridge match where, we looked like we would get something out of the game and looked like the game would go to the 5th day for sure. And somehow we managed to lose within 4 days. To me, that was the worst performance. How can you have one of the best performance than one of the worst? Being bowled out after what? Tea? That was a real painful event to watch.
Thank you very much, Bobby. So over to you, Dwight. Can you tell us what was the worst performance for you in 2024?
It might surprise a lot of people what I personally believe was the worst performance for me. Worst performance for me was watching the West Indies team after starting out with a whole lot of hope and expectation, playing well against Australia, losing it against England, underperforming against South Africa, and having Bangladesh, a team that we believe that we should be able to show that we're going somewhere with our cricket. And after winning the first test match, coming to Sabina Park and losing that test match, ended up drawing the series, relegating ourselves to what was the record for the year? 2 wins, 6 losses, 1 draw, losing 67% of our games, showing a lack of identity as a team, showing a lack of leadership. That for me was the worst performance, and it basically summed up where the team is going. And I'm happy with what happened to the coaching staff thereafter.
You are happy that Andre Coley have been fired?
Oh yes, I am, and I've said
Okay.
it before.
Okay,
I think-
over to you, Basil Butcher.
The worst performance was Alzarri Joseph walking off the field 2 times.
It looked as if I told the wrong person to be careful.
Nothing could come close to that. That was an abomination that put a stain in West Indies cricket history, period. Right? Nothing we could do on a cricket field could be worse than that.
Why
Really?
wasn't that the worst performance, Dwight?
Really, Basil?
Yes.
Basil, let me ask you a question. What did you think about Colin Croft running up and shouldering an umpire?
Well, I gave Colin Croft kudos for umpire that was blatantly cheating.
I don't believe this. I can't believe this.
That umpire should have get it. No. Let me tell you something, Chato. My father told me something. Every time they traveled around the world, West Indies was playing against 13. 13. And on that test match, I don't know how old you are, Chato, but I can tell you, that test match, the cheating was the most blatant. I mean, there's thief all the time. But this time, imagine we went in for lunch and refused to take the field after lunch because of how the umpires was blatantly cheating. Right? I mean, that went beyond the pale. I mean, in Australia, they cheat me in 1975. Michael Holden burst in tears on the debut series. Break Ian Chappell's edge. Gone to second. The ball didn't go to the keeper. The ball got to second slip. Umpire said not out. I remember Red Pereira commentating on the radio saying, and that one was taken in second slip. Now everybody listen to the radio say, wait. How the ball it touched something? And we know in Australia the ball doesn't swing like that. How it reached the second slip. But in New Zealand, that was beyond the pale. Remember the same match? Michael Owen kicked down the stumps.
What's
Basil,
your regret? Yeah.
Basil.
And
I got
why
as
I said-
Carlton
why I
would
said
say.
that- let me just finish my point. Why I say what Alzarri Joseph did was it worse? He disrespected his teammates. He disrespected his coaches. And he not only the coaches, he disrespected his fans and friends. And fourth and most important, he disrespected the game when he walked off the field like he did.
Basil, I'm not going to stand here and pretend that what Alzarri Joseph did was not bad and wasn't wrong. All right? What he did, he should not have done. He should not have handled the thing in that way. But it was not the worst. It definitely was not the worst.
Have you ever
And I think you're going too far. No, wait. I think you're going too far in classifying it as the worst. And yet you come here and you can justify a West Indian cricketer physically hurting somebody else, putting hands on somebody else because you believe that they're cheating. No, Basil, you're conflicted. That's double standard.
Hold on. You see again, Chato, you're a young guy, so you haven't followed West Indies cricket. I don't think you ever saw Colin Croft bowl in your life. And if you've seen Colin Croft bowl, that was not the first time he brushed an umpire. Colin Croft had a way he used to be running almost from behind the umpire, and then at the last moment jump out. There are many times Colin Croft have brushed umpires.
No, we're not talking, but it wasn't accidental.
One of his motivation.
No, it wasn't accidental. He deliberately hit the umpire.
I'm not quarreling with that.
Okay. So I'm saying, how can you look at that and you don't regard it as the worst? But Alzarri Joseph, being so passionate, so worked up, thinking that he's not getting the resources or the help that he wants from the captain. Yes, he was misguided, and he decides, listen, I'm just coming off. I'm gonna cool off somewhere. You say, oh, that's the worst ever. You're exaggerating, man.
I am not going to continue to argue that you have your right. I made my position. That was the worst for 2024. Never in the history of cricket have you ever seen a player walk up the field like that. Never.
And you believe that was worse than the weak will behavior, the weak will performances that we saw against Bangladesh, the weak performances that we saw. Wait. The weak performances that we saw in the summer against England, where the team lacked direction, lacked motivation. Azari Joseph looked fired up. He looked passionate. He looked as if he wanted to win. Those guys, because if they had no business being on the field, there's no way you can tell me that's the worst performance, man. No way.
Chato, firstly, you are another one of those delusional West Indian cricket fans. And let me explain why you're delusional. Look at what we have, the reality on the field, and you judging your expectations. Nothing that happened against Bangladesh at Sabina Park was surprising. West Indian batsmen cannot play.
Whoa. Repeat that. Repeat that so the entire cricketing world can hear you.
Nothing that happened at Sabina Park was surprising. Our batters cannot play genuine pace bowling. Our batters cannot play good quality spin bowling, and more so if the wicket getting help. That is what happened at Sabina Park. Not a surprise. In England, you take a team to England, one of the most difficult places in cricket to play, with a team of a bunch of guys who have never played a cricket match in England, and playing against a good England team, and you can talk about their performances as being worse. What happened in England was expected. If anybody had any other inkling, y'all are delusional.
Well, guess what? The guy who coached those teams is fired, and Azari Joseph will play again the next time the West Indies as a T20 or ODI game.
Coaches get fired, and I would say this, and I've said it already. The West Indies Cricket Board Director of Cricket, he was full of poppycock for his reasoning for relieving Andre Kohli from his job, and secondly, the most pathetic excuse that he gave, reasoning to elevate Sammy to that position. He should the director of cricket, should resign from his job for that stupidity.
Carlton, you're gonna allow him to talk like this? Carlton, you need to come in. This man is out here telling us that the West Indies team was expected to beat Bangladesh. Bobby, you're gonna sit here and let him talk to us like this?
Gentlemen, what I have to say is that I respect each one of your opinions, right? I may disagree with both of your opinions because I don't think that none of those were the worst performances of the year. The worst performances of the year, as you expected, is Sean Diaz sending Jemba Joseph and Zadia James to open in a one-day international match on a pitch which he said was spicy. 2 under-19 cricketers averaging 6 or less for the West Indies in one-day international cricket. And Sean Diaz believed that the best thing to do was to send those 2 young girls to open for the West Indies and ask them to play attacking cricket. That was his word. He said, I asked them to play attacking cricket because that's a philosophy in which we want to bring the West Indies women team. We got bowled out for 83 in that match. And at the post-match interview, Sean Diaz said that he never had any plan. That's what he told Andrew Mason. He never had any plan, but he saw some positive because the girls were moving into the ball. And I asked, did Sean Diaz watch that match? Look back at that first one-day international between West Indies and Australia and see how many of the West Indies batsmen got out on their back foot. And the coach, Sean Diaz, said that the players were moving into the ball. That, for me, is the worst performance of 2024. And Sean Diaz must go home, gentlemen. He must go home. He's not good for this team. Gentlemen, that's for me.
Was that in
Just tell me
2024?
who was the coach
So that
who
was
went all the way to the
2024?
semis?
You sure that was 2024, Carlton? That was 2023.
That even make it worse because
That-
if it was
No, Carlton,
That was
Carlton, just remind me, who was the coach?
coming to you, Dwight
No,
Shatta.
wait, no. Who was the
I will
coach who
mute
led?
all of you guys, Mike, Listen, let me talk. Even if it was 2023, that make it worse because it's still hurting me so much that I think that it was 2024. That make it worse.
Hey, Carlton.
Can say that he does as a plan. And
Here.
coming to you now, let me come to you, Dwight Shatta.
Carlton, no, wait, man. You're angry than Azari Joseph.
I'm going to address your point of the World Cup. Let me address your point. West Indies reached the semi-final of the T20 Women World Cup, not because of Sean Diaz, but despite of him. It was the Deandra Dottin bounce that allows us to go to the World Cup semi-final. And because we played against an English team that they ran fit and took us for granted. But it's not because of Sean Diaz why we reached the semi-final of the World Cup. It's despite of him and the Deandra Dottin bounce into the team. Go ahead with what you are going to say now, Dwight Shatta.
No, well, what I was saying to you is that you sound angrier than Azari Joseph. But Basil, Carlton, we have heard you for the past couple of days being very angry about the performance of the girls in the ODI series against India.
I'm not angry about the performance of the girls because one of the things that I have
the
always
team, I understand the team.
There's not a lot of quality in this team, and I accept that. But I have not seen any incremental improvement under this coach.
Yeah.
No,
we understand that. No, wait.
This coach, let me tell you something, Dwight Shatta, and don't get with me this morning. Now. Let me tell you something, Dwight Shatta. Let me tell you something. Every Caribbean, well, I want to say every Caribbean, one of the generic traits of Caribbean people is that we have fundamentally good movement skills. Am I lying?
That's true.
And when you look at this West Indies women team, they were laughed at in that final ODI against India on Boxing Day in the field. Indian commentators were laughing at the West Indies women cricketers in the field, laughing because we were so poor. And this Caribbean is blessed with people with fundamental movement skills. Why then are we so poor in the field?
No, Azari. Carlton, I agree with you that the performance in that final, in that ODI series, in fact, was very disappointing. All right, I'm not going to disagree with you, but I think to call for the sacking of the coach is going too far. I think you're going too far in saying that the only reason we went to the semifinals, not just went to the semifinals, but literally missed out on going to the finals because that was a close game. That was a game that we could have won. Was because of the Deandra Dottin bounce. No, I mean, there are other elements.
If we have a good coach, coupled with the Deandra Dottin bounce, we'd have won the World Cup. If I was coaching that West Indies team in the semi-final, we won that World Cup. Sean Diaz is no good.
No. The team lost its first game in that World Cup tournament, and it took resilience. And the same way that you all congratulated Kohli for having the team bounce back against Australia after losing that first game. The team lost the first game of that World Cup tournament, bounced back, won several games on the stretch, and just missed out in terms of going to the semifinals, to the finals. That wasn't because of one player. The team exceeded. The team exceeded all our expectations.
You're not getting it, I'm not saying that is because of one player. You see, Dwight, you're not understanding the concept of sports and what a bounce is, what a bounce one player can create for a team. And I said it was the Deandra Dottin bounce, not the performance of one player, but the team bounce. It's a natural bounce coming from a superstar coming back into the team.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct, Dwight. Not Dwight. Carlton. Without DeAndre Dottin, we probably would lose every game in that World Cup. So regardless of the coach or anything of the sort. And the coach, it was interesting. Did you hear, Chato, what the coach said following this series in India? Talking about fitness.
I was about to speak about that.
Now, all of those things, Stevie Wonder could see. And again, when y'all hear me say the director of cricket should resign, he is the one that said we will no longer have fitness standards. Like if we're and to say the most asinine policy, because we are investing in strength and conditioning coaches in each of the for each territorial franchise, that will be the way we ameliorate the fitness issue. Well, we have gotten worse. The men and the women team are not up to par when it comes to elite fitness. Well, the women, they're worse, right? And now the coach is coming out. And finally, if I must give Mr. D's credit, finally a West Indies women's coach have actually formed the words to talk about the lack of fitness in the West Indies women's team. But let's see what happens going forward.
I put it to you, Basil, that he's under so much pressure that he's coming up with those things now. And it is actually poor from the coach who has been here for more than a year. And I'm telling you, Basil, you know that give Cricket West Indies credit, they spend a lot of money on this team in camp. So why then is the team not as fit as it should be, Basil? It's because the coach is not getting them fit.
And now here, Carlton, you see the thing about it, camp is not a place to get fit. You gotta come to the camp fit, right? I agree with you, Basil. But when they turn up to the camp not fit, what the coach should do? My issue is this. What are the players doing when they go home? Because that's where they have all the time.
But that's where the coach come in, because the coach is picking them. The coach must say that you do not meet my standard, so don't come.
Carlton, but the West Indies board take away the fitness standards. When they have the fitness, and unfortunately, I would say this, I don't know if they even ever had standards for the women. They had for the men, because we have seen in the past when they had the fitness standards, certain people, women playing for the West Indies team, you want to know how on earth they could get on a West Indies team with such poor conditioning situation.
Bobby has been very quiet for a while. Bobby, do you want to come in, or you don't follow the women game that much, or do you want to respond to this comment here from MS? Can't remember a player walking off the field in all my years of watching cricket. So Alzarri Joseph to me was the worst.
Alzarri Joseph did something that was unprecedented in cricket history. Not just West Indies, cricket history.
I mean, it was bad, but I wouldn't say it was worse. It was bad. But I mean, listen, West Indies players are doing far much worse now, right? To me, when West Indies call you and you're going to tell them you can't come, you got to do this, you got to do that, that's worse. Alzarri was just passionate, and he let the passion get the best of him.
So let me get you right, Bobby. You are saying that for West Indies to call you and you don't turn up, that is worse than?
Yes, that's far worse.
Okay.
For West Indies to say, hey, we need you, and you got to tell them, no, I'm going to play this little cricket around here, this D-grade T20 league.
So then, Bobby, so then Alzarri has compounded it by going and playing the T20 tournament instead of going to Pakistan. Then.
But was he, or was he dropped, or?
No, he's going to play T20 cricket.
Well, maybe because people keep, saying Alzarri shouldn't be there. And remember, Alzarri has never done that.
No. Alzarri is our leading, is our fastest bowler. We going to Pakistan to play test matches.
He's our premier fast bowler.
He has chosen to go and play T20 in Dubai.
I want to come in here and respond to Wilson Man's Dwight.
Man, I wanted to respond to the one before, and also onto what Basil is saying. I think the person before said something that Colin Croft was praised for what he did, and all of that.
He was
Yeah, okay,
praised.
okay. No,
Was
hold up.
praised.
That's cricket back in, I think that happened when? Was it 81, Basil? Yeah, that's
1980.
cricket.
1980.
Yeah, thank you. That's cricket in the old days where the rules weren't the way that they are today. Now tell me, suppose you do that today in cricket. Today in cricket, you can be ejected from the game for doing something like that. And your team can lose as a result of doing something like that. Not the old time days where you could do foolishness like physically hurting umpires and you just get away with a tap on the wrist.
Physically hurt the
On the
umpire.
wrist.
Brush the umpire. Brush the umpire. Why you physically hurt the umpire? Stop your nonsense, Jack. Brush the umpire.
And so,
the question is the West Indies disappointing us by losing a test. That test is actually pretty normal. What Alzheimer did was a first. I've never seen that before. Guys, come on, man. Come on. Put things into perspective. Nobody's saying.
Perspective. Here, let me tell you, Chatu. An all-time great NFL player who is a Hall of Famer said something about team sports. He said in this order, you do these three things, you're going to be all right. You play for the respect of your teammates, you play for the trust of the coaches, and you play for the adulation of your friends and fans. You do it in them three order, you're going to be all right. Alzarri violated all three with the action that he did. He violated all. And then
come on, I disagree with you.
Disrespected the game. He disrespected the game. Made himself bigger than the game.
Basil, I disagree with you. I think it's a sport. I think people get worked up all the time. I think Basil made a great point. In this day and age of cricket, where we're looking for everybody to turn out and support the team as they should, we have players who routinely say, hey, I have no interest in playing in a test match cricket. Alzarri Joseph can count to, I think, 16 innings, 68 matches where he showed up when he was called upon by the West Indies cricket board to come and play for the test team, to keep the cricket alive, where he gave up his best as he could. There are a bunch of other players who don't do it. Their stance is far worse than Alzarri playing a game, getting upset, going over the top and doing something that he really shouldn't have. He should have done a bit better. But to condemn him and to say, oh, this is the worst I've ever seen. You're not watching what's happening in Caribbean cricket. You're not watching what's happening in Caribbean cricket. What people like, no, I'm saying it out loud. What people like Hetmeyer and people like Poran and people like Hope and people like King, what those guys are doing when they selectively tell you that, oh, I'm just playing T20, I'm just here for the T20 game, I'm all about my money, I have no interest in playing test cricket, while the test team is the way that it is. And we have people coming here saying that they expected our team to lose. We expected to lose because the best players' chances are not on the field anyway. And people are routinely turning it down. So what those guys are doing, I agree with Baz, I agree with Bobby. What those guys are doing, it's far worse than Alzarri Joseph. I'm losing it in a game and doing something. I agree, he shouldn't have done that, but he's not the worst.
Chato, you know why your narrative is nonsense? Because players all over the world are doing that. It is not a unique thing.
Whoa. Slow down, Basil. Slow down. I saw Australia with all their stars playing for them in this series. I saw India with all their stars playing for them. I saw England with all their stars playing for them. I saw Pakistan with all their stars playing for them. You're wrong.
Chato, you want me to give you a name who has done it? You want me to give you a few names?
No, don't give me a name. Give me a bunch of players.
I can give you a few names.
For one team. Who? The bunch of players.
Quinton de Kock, South Africa. Don't play, nothing else. He retired from Test cricket. Quinton de Kock is a young guy. Quinton de Kock is still one of, if Quinton de Kock could play, he would be the #1 wicketkeeper in South Africa.
I'm counting with you.
Right? You got players from New Zealand.
No. One team. Name the group of players on one team. You just counted one player for one team. We have a whole bunch in our team.
Out to play red ball cricket, to just play the T20. That is a normal thing today.
No,
it is not something that is not normal.
But they talk have other problems, Basil.
No, the cock ain't got no other problems. The cock retired from Test cricket before all them problems come about.
Yeah, he retired from Test cricket.
The cock claimed that he wants to spend more time with his family.
But how many Test matches has the cock played?
Thank you very much.
No, but the cock is 32 years old when he retired.
But how much Test match?
No, that's not the point. The point is the guy stopped playing Test cricket because he wanted to go and make money.
Yeah, but
no, that wasn't my argument. That wasn't my argument. My argument is right now, all our cricketers, as they enter the prime of their as they enter the prime of their career, they have just decided that they're not playing for any Test cricket. They're only interested in playing T20 cricket.
Well, you know,
so
which other Test team has that problem?
So Dwight, so the question that
player power, man, player power.
No, not player power. Let me just make this point. The people who are the administrators of West Indies cricket, and when I mean West Indies cricket, I am not talking about just West Indies Cricket Board. I going all the way down to the grassroots. Have sullied the prestige of representing West Indies. So
thank you very much.
I want youngster comes in, does not even understand the great value and prestige of representing West Indies. They're the ones to blame.
Yeah,
but here, Basil, but Dwight.
Basil, doesn't Alzarri have that?
No, whether Alzarri has that or not, what he did on that field was the worst thing.
Yeah, that was bad. That was very disappointing.
I am not knocking Alzarri for nothing else but that.
Yeah, that was bad. But
let me ask you this question. Alzarri Joseph, we know that he is loyal to West Indies cricket. We all know that.
Exactly.
But does it give him the right to walk off the field that way?
I never said that.
I withdrew that question. No, don't answer. You know why I withdrew it? Because I've long since said that I've drawn a line under this issue because it happened, the punishment was met out. So I'm not going to go back to it. So I withdraw that question. Although you guys are discussing, I withdraw the question. The next thing I want us to go on to now, gentlemen, and on this time now, I think that I started with Basil first and then Bobby. I'll start with Dwight on this time now. For this year, 2024, what is, if you were the president of Cricket West Indies and there was one thing that you would want to see happen this year, what would that be, that one thing, gentlemen, starting with you, Dwight?
Okay, my answer will not even be on the field of play because a lot of people will say, oh, we want the middle order to tick again, we want to be able to at least one good Test cricketer come in good. I think as the president of the West Indies Cricket Board, one thing I'm asking you to deliver for us this year is corporate governance reform of the cricketing board. What we have now is an absolute joke that the entire world of cricket, I think, is now laughing at the stuff. To have guys deciding that they won't show up to meetings so that they'll strategically not be able to have a quorum so that no decision can be made and the business of cricket is set aside. That's an absolute joke. Zin? And it just shows that the thing is all wrong. You have guys here who are in charge of cricket teams, and when they don't like a particular thing that is happening or they think that their team has been disadvantaged in some way, they vote or they'll take the board to court. I've never heard of somebody who's sitting on the board of a company being upset about a decision that they make as a group and then turning around to take the board to court, or they're threatening them with court action and all of that. The whole thing is conflicted. We need to implement the things that were recommended in the Webber report, starting with replacing all those directors with people who are bringing certain competencies to the table, whether it is in marketing, whether it is in finance, whether it is in logistics, whether it is in the ability to broadcast, to negotiate broadcast deal. Have them sit on the board, have the chairman be someone who is sensible among them, and then the territorial board should just be stakeholders in this stuff, in this thing. It shouldn't be the way that it is. I buy shares in a company. I don't sit on the board of the company. I'm a shareholder in a company. I don't have the competence to sit on the board and to run the board the way that it is. That is the biggest decision that we should make right now. And it's strategic as we're about to enter another negotiating window for the Future Tours program. We need to have better competence on our board. And then from there, better decisions will be made right across the board in cricket.
Thank you very much. Over to you, Bobby. That's a mouthful there from our good friend Dwight Chateau.
Well, let's see here. I want them to do a lot of things, but the single most thing I would like them to do, I would like them to put more into developing test cricketers, you know, and I would like them to take more action of what's going on in the territorial boards, because, you know, I've been hearing a lot of I would say I've been hearing just a lot of unprofessional stuff going on from the regional boards. So I would like for them to have better governance of that, not just give them money and say, hey, do this, do that. You know, like how up here they would have what they call a secret shopper, where they would send somebody around to check on what's going on with the stores. Maybe if they could implement some of that, because what's going on at the regional level is too poor. And maybe that's one of the problems why we're not building or getting any top players. So I would like that to be done.
Thank you very much. Over to you, Mr. Basil Butcher Jr. and the fans of West Indies cricket then and now.
Look, the governance thing is probably one most important thing, as Chato pointed out. But maybe a way to go around and force the governance thing in the right way. What I would like to see in every territory, you will be building a high performance professional structure from school and club all the way up to your regional team, right? And in doing so, to put together such a structure, you will have to have professional governance to manage such a structure. So I forcing you to have to put in the proper governance in all the territories to develop such structures. And the structures will be the same throughout the territory. So the same processes will be used across the board. Everybody will be on the same page in the same hymn book, the same paragraph, the same sentence.
Thank you very much. What I would like to see done, and if I was the president of Cricket West Indies, when the Champions Trophy is going on, West Indies regional 4-day cricket tournament will also be going on. I'll be looking very carefully if all these players that many persons have been calling on to be in the test team, if those players will use the opportunity to play one or two of those regional 4-day matches. I'll be looking at that. But what I will be doing, there will be a number of players, and Cricket West Indies rules allow it for each territory to have players from outside the region to play in their competition. Each franchise can have 2 players from out of the region. I would be providing the funds to get 2 players who I think has the right attitude, high quality, to be a part of all 8 franchise teams in this year's tournament during the time of the Champions Trophy. So that's what I would have done. I would have 16 more players from outside the region, high quality, right attitude, to be a part of the tournament. That's what I would have done, gentlemen. Any other reaction to what anyone have said, gentlemen, about what they would have done? All right, let's take the reaction then from the community as we go to the player of the year. So Dwight Patrick Lambert is saying, Dwight, you must hit Basil harder with the low blow and the uppercut. So that's what Patrick Lambert is saying. All right. So Jamal Small is saying that West Indies test team needs to work on their batting. Our batting performance in tests is very poor. And I guess that's what he wants to see us doing in 2025.
Yeah, on that point right there, I went through. I did a analysis of our performances for the year, right? And it's interesting. Hodge is our number one test batter with an average of 28. None of our batters ain't got. Everybody's 20-something average, and Chateau want to jettison the coach. Does the quality the coach get, and the coach get played? I wonder if the coach could hold the bat for them.
No, but Basil.
Let me respond to that.
Okay,
Basil, before, I'm going to repeat. A few years ago, the number one team of our three teams, the test team, the ODI team, the T20 team, the number one team in those three was the test team. We were more competitive, and I've given the stats. Zin, the T20 team and the ODI team were poor. And when you ask people, why? What's the problem? People say, oh, the team is past it. The Gales and the Pollards, they're no longer the force that they were. The T20 game has changed. The West Indies has not adopted. They're the sixth-sitting team, and they can't really cope with how the game has changed. And entered a new coach. People could have said, oh, the problem is the players. But a new coach came in, and what did we see? We saw improvement in that team, that everybody agreed that we saw improvement in the testing. We've seen improvement in the ODI team. We have seen new players coming into the fore as well in Carty and Rutherford and the likes. All right. So you can't convince me with this argument that it's we just have a poor set of players, and coaching, the change in the coach won't help. Huh? Mr. Darren Sammy has proven you wrong with that argument.
Go back and see the players who was the middle order when the quote-unquote we were supposedly performing. And then look and see what is the middle order Mr. Kohli has inherited. It is a total different team. So
no, what do you mean? What do you mean? We can name the players. We know the players.
Middle order.
No. Who? Blackwood, Bonner, and Myers. That was the middle order. Blackwood, Myers, and Bonner.
Are any of them in the test team today?
No, they're not.
Good. And they've been
so what you're saying? Those were great players?
No.
Those weren't great players. In fact, there are some people who believe that Atenes and Hodge have more potential to them than Black and Bonner. There's some people who believe that.
Hodge played for all them years in regional cricket with them same guys and never outscored them. So what are you talking about? Hodge is not as good as those guys.
What about Atenes? There are a lot of people who believe Atenes, the same player who went to the World Under 19 and dominated, who did well. People believe that there's more talent in that player than we have had in the likes of Blackwood and Myers.
Atenes went to the World Cup and dominated. Ravindra from New Zealand was at the World Cup. Mr. Shubman Gill was at the World Cup. Pretty Shaw was at the World Cup. Some others.
And Brooks and Harry Brooks.
Harry Brooks was there also.
Harry
Brooks.
Where is Mr. Atenes in compared to those guys?
Who is the coach? Who was the coach? Who had him? Kohli. Who was the coach? Who had him? Kohli. Kohli was the coach. Kohli was the coach who got a highly talented player and couldn't coach him up, while Harry Brooks was meeting new standards in international cricket.
Kohli was the Rhode Island's coach?
Yes! Oh, sorry. Get in, Martinez. Get in. Oh, United won. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead, Bobby.
Right, look at the team then. Look at the teams that team was beating. And look at the teams that Andre Kohli had to compete
Exactly.
That's so another thing. I know 9 matches. I want to see what Darren Sammy is going to do. Because we have Australia 3 times, we have India twice, and we have to go to New Zealand either 2 or 3 times.
But on that point,
I don't understand the point to this game.
Bobby, you're so correct, because again, Mr. Chateau is trying to say things out of context. Kohli, as when he appointed, here are the teams West Indies play against: India, South Africa, England, right, and Australia. They're the 4 best teams in the world. Sammy has not beaten a full-strength team. That's coach. Go and check. Go and check.
Thank you, gentlemen. What I have to say that I always maintain the coach is ultimately responsible for the performance of the team. If he's not, we don't need a coach. So you have to make up your mind. Either he's responsible or we don't need him. Michael Douglas is asking the question. I want to see, well, he's making the statement. This is what he wants to see for 2024. I want to see more press conference before and after games. We used to have that when Jimmy Adams was in charge, but I've stopped that. You know,
we don't get up.
Well, yeah. The captain and coach need to answer some questions in front of a panel of journalists about their decision making and squad selection. We used to have that. I remember once asking Shea Hope, I think Ruston Chase bowled the 49th over in a match. Exactly. And I asked Shea Hope about it and said, is that something that we're going to do going forward? And Shea Hope said, I don't talk about the past, you know? And so
they're going to kick you out of those press conferences, you know. You're not going to get invited to those press conferences if you're asking questions like those.
That is why, because I used to go and listen to press conferences. And one of the only man that used to ask the tough questions is Mr. Carlton. That's why I like Mr. Carlton. A lot of them just throw a lot of softball questions. And that answer that Hope give Carlton, I to come back at Hope because what Hope talking there's pure stupidness. Come with that nonsense.
I don't talk about the past.
What happened, you know? I was going to get back at him, but because they stop it, because what I was going to do, I was going to ask him about when he makes a century. He was going to talk about
the past.
At him. Exactly. But they stopped the press conferences, you know?
Yes.
Paul Goodman is saying,
brilliant comeback.
Paul Goodman is saying that one thing would be to have Craig Brathwaite leave the scene altogether. He's a blight on the team by his approach to the game. His stated goals or levels of satisfaction will never give improvement. Bobby, getting on Paul Goodman here.
So I mean, who would come, Paul Goodman? Who would you replace Brathwaite with? And how are you sure that you would see improvement with a change in quote unquote approach?
Thank you very much. Now we're going to ask now, do I to respond?
No, don't let Bobby get over with that softball response. Don't let Bobby get over with that. I agree with Mr. Goodman. I agree with Mr. Goodman. Mr. Craig Brathwaite, who in his last, what did we say, his last 13 games is averaging in the low 20s. He needs to go as a captain. I don't know why they even gave him a send-off tour right here. He needs to go. And whether it is, we're going to look at Kemar Roach, and we're going to say, Kemar Roach, we want you to occupy this as a standing position. Or we're going to be bold, and we're going to say, Angry Alzarri Joseph, we know you have made mistakes in the past. We want to counsel you on that. But we believe that you should lead this team going forward, or whatever the situation. Whatever the decision, the bottom line is, we now need to move on from Mr. Brathwaite. It's as simple as this. This whole thing about, we don't have anybody, so we have to stick with this guy, even though he looks totally lost. His place in the side is no an open question. Come on, we're looking to develop the team, and I agree with Mr. Goodman.
So can I respond to that, Carlton? No. You just read out some stats. I like the deal. Mr. Chateau does make a lot of statements out of context. And so that's a fact. Brathwaite is our third leading scorer for the last year. Only Anthony and Hodge make more runs than him for the last year.
And probably by a few runs.
Carlton, I'm gonna let you finish because I have a list here that
Mr. Chateau and all of them got 20-something average for the year. And you coming down at Craig Brathwaite. Craig Brathwaite is low-hanging fruit.
No. He has the more. No. Craig Brathwaite here on my list. I have over the last, I think, over the cycle that they played. No, wait. Baza, I don't want to see I'm sharing bad stats. Over the last cycle, the list is the last the last 2-year cycle in this 23 to 24. No, wait. But let me share the numbers. Holder is averaging 33, Greaves 29, Hodge 28, Attanis 26, Louis 24. Oh, here's Brathwaite way down on the list below people like Warwickon. He's averaging 23. What do you mean that the reason chances are he has more runs is that he has played more games than other players?
No, all of them play the same amount.
No. That is not true.
Yes, Chateau. Yes.
Okay, so let me look again. Let me look on my list. I'm seeing here that Brathwaite has batted 22 innings. The closest person to him is Attanis, was batted 21 innings. Attanis has a higher batting average than him. Holder 13 innings. Greaves 8 innings. No, he has been poor. The only reason he was allowed to bat so often is because he's the captain.
Chateau, when we gonna assess our players, we gotta do it on a yearly basis, not this 2-year thing.
Even by West Indian standard, he has been poor.
In the year 2024, the entire West Indies batting lineup was poor. Not one of them averaged 30.
Not 24 poor, not 23 poor.
Yes.
No. Guys. Let's be fair. Brathwaite has been poor for a long time. That's not a debate.
2 years.
Yeah. The only reason he has been given so many games is he's the captain. That's the reason. So let's not debate that he has been poor.
The problem again, Chateau. All of them average 20-something. All of them. So you can't single out Brathwaite.
Okay, you know what?
You are not.
You know what? I'm gonna follow your logic. I'm gonna follow your logic. I'm gonna follow your logic going forward. I'm gonna remember this and follow your logic.
Fine, Chateau. You do not put next to your name batsman if you're averaging 20-something. All of them is 20-something.
I'm going to follow your logic and go with what you're saying.
Let's move on because there's a lot of comment, and this one is definitely for you, Chateau.
I gotta come off at 1 o'clock.
Cricket West Indies should focus on protecting the brand of West Indies cricket, even if it means limiting players from participating in franchise cricket. I'm sure you agree with that, do I?
We all have our plans on that. We all agree on that. Two tournaments a year. Full stop.
Do I, Chateau? Gerard Mead is saying that Colin never had a full strength team. How do you react to that?
Come on, man, guys. Come on, man. Don't do this, man. What do you mean he never had a full strength team? Who are the players who Colin should have had that he didn't have? Yeah. I saw Sammy go in there and he made a team. The guys who delivered.
Made what team? West Indies was 6-6 in ODIs this year and 14-12 in T20s. And 2 of those wins is against 2 associate teams, Papua New Guinea and Uganda. Imagine the big West Indies. We only was 12-12 against full member nations and 6-6 in ODIs. And you got to laugh and talk with Sammy?
It is hard to argue like that. No, Basil, hold up. It's hard to argue the way that you're arguing. When you have a coach in let me make my point. It's hard to listen to you argue like this. When it's a fact that when Sammy took over the team was ranked somewhere like 8th or 9th, and in a year's time, he got the team to be ranked 3rd in the world. Third in the world. It's hard to listen to you saying, oh, he didn't do anything. The bottom line is that Kohli took over a team that was performing. Kohli took over a team that was performing at a particular level. It was not high level, but he took over a team that was performing here, and he found a way to get them to perform lower. Yes, he did.
West Indies have been an abomination of a test team for over 20 years. This is not to yesterday or 2 years ago. And you want Kohli for come and get, like we say in Guyana, blood from stone. Sammy has not beaten any full-strength team of any of them. We have been beating teams who come in and trying to figure out where they can win and so on. And you making it, but Sammy is doing one thing.
Well,
but got a lot of talks. That's all
Dwight.
we got, a lot of talks.
Yeah, Dwight. When Kohli took over, what was the last test series? Australia, right? 22.
He took over before that, I think.
No.
Yeah, man, I think he took over from when they went to South Africa.
Yeah. He was not South Africa and Zimbabwe. He was interim. He was interim.
Yeah.
The previous test series, Bobby is correct. When we got retail in Australia.
Yeah. The team was poor. And it had all those guys you talk about.
Bobby.
And
Go ahead, Bobby. Finish your point.
Thing, remember, Kohli won. Well, he drew an ODI series in South Africa and won a T20 series in South Africa for the first time in 12 years or something like that. So,
but wait, Bobby, when you might not be aware of it.
Beat a full strength T20 team in recent times when Kohli was the coach.
No, Bobby, you may not be aware of this. When they named the coaches and they named Kohli as a test team, I said to someone, and I said this on air, Kohli, bad choice for Kohli. They should have made Kohli the white ball coach based on what I've seen that he has done with the white ball team. So you can't bring that information to me now. I know the work that he did with the white ball team, but no, unfortunately, we're talking about the test team. And this comment from Gerard that's saying Kohli never had a full strength team. I just want to know who are the players he didn't have. Tell me.
But again, I would say that against South Africa, he should have selected Warrican, which was his fault also. Because after how well Warrican had done in Sri Lanka in 2021, going to South Africa in 2022, Warrican should have been a part of that team. But that's
But he didn't pick the teams. You remember Haynes and them was selectors. He was one of the selectors.
All right. Fair enough. I am so sorry that Joseph did what he has done. He did it out of anger. I also believe that it was the worst thing that happened. He always dedicated himself to the team. Okay, SOS Music, the poll have finished, and Shamar Joseph, the community have voted Shamar Joseph to be the player of the year. I don't know how many of the panelists, but we are coming to that. I just want to run through these comments, and I just quickly go through the numbers for the 4 finalists. CWI should issue an ultimatum to players who repeatedly avoid playing test cricket. Either they play test matches if selected or play no. I agree. Sheldon Simmett, our good friend from Trinidad. West Indies cricketers get too comfortable too fast making the team and stop performing. When, for instance, is Chanda Paul? I don't quite understand. Do you understand what he's saying there?
Yeah. He's saying, I think he's saying Chanda Paul is an example of that.
He's talking about players getting comfortable having that they work hard. They work hard before making the team, and then they get comfortable once they have made the team.
But again, it goes back to players' power. And there's only one president in the history of West Indies cricket who tried to dismantle player power, and he was heavily criticized, because the thing about it, you cannot dismantle player power and think it's going to be smooth doing it. It's going to be hell and fire, because the players will be giving up something and they're going to fight for that power. But
I think Carlton, what I disagree with the current West Indies and from Skerrit time, because of that relationship between the players and the board that has been a very acrimonious relationship forever, they sought to repair it by bending over backwards for the players, right? And it's the old adage where your parents would have told you, I give you an inch, you take a yard. But these players, you give them an inch, they take a mile, right? And that is, so now we got players like Mr. Puran is a good example. Mr. Puran was a centrally contracted player 2023 summer. and he in America playing a final, and we playing ODI against India. Now here we got Alzarri Joseph again, a centrally contracted player. We going to play test match in Pakistan, and he going to play T20 league. Here is either you're gonna be, if you're centrally contracted, whenever West Indies playing, you gotta play for West Indies. You ain't going to play nowhere else, right? Or don't be centrally contracted. Simple as that.
Most persons agree with that. Yeah, Jamor Small is saying, just following up on the Pooran point. Remember when Pooran was a T20 captain and he was not scoring? When he gave up the captaincy, he started scoring runs. What do you guys think? The captaincy affecting his batting? That is Brathwaite. Do you think it is affecting his batting, Bobby?
No, I just think he's in a bad form because he was scoring as the captain. He averaged 67 in 22.
Okay.
So he was scoring as the captain. So I think it's just bad form, as we've seen happening right now with a lot of players that were a lot better than Brathwaite.
Yeah,
So
look at Rohit Sharma.
Yeah, Rohit Sharma, Kohli, Kuranate,
do you think the captaincy is affecting Brathwaite? Because I, for one, believe that he should still be in the team, but he shouldn't be the captain.
That's a difficult question. Initially, you think no, that is not the captaincy, but I think the dynamic has changed. Nowadays, when I see him, he just looks so way down. That's how he looks now. It could have been that initially he enjoyed the job and he thought that he was getting some good performances because he came in on the back and making that historic win in Bangladesh. And everybody, they were all positive about him. Now, over the years, people are highly critical of him. And when I see him go out there and back, he's just not free. He's under immense pressure. So I do think that the captaincy is affecting his batting as well. I do believe that.
I mean,
I don't think so. The way Brathwaite batting is the same way he's batted his entire career. Yeah, there's nothing changed about Brathwaite. What people quarrel about Brathwaite is that he should be a little bit more positive, right? That he soaks up too much pressure from the bowling, and we have seen at times he have made good attempts. The same Nottingham test that Bobby spoke of. You remember he made 2 quick fire 40 some things in that test match. And in this recent test series, he made a quick fire 40 something the other day there. But let me ask you, gentlemen, what do you all think? Because this is one of the problems we have to also think when we're discussing Brathwaite. Brathwaite is opening with a guy that don't take pressure off of him in Louis. Similarly, when he batted with Chandimal. But when he batted with Mr. Campbell, not when he batted with Campbell, was some of his better performances as captain of West Indies team. I say, let's get Campbell back up there with Mr. Brathwaite. What my Jamaican compadre say?
Thank you very much, Basil. All right. So the 4 players who were shortlisted for the West Indies Player of the Year, just going through their numbers, and Shamar Joseph won from the popular vote among the communities. Shamar Joseph won, but starting in alphabetical order, not because you voted him. Shamar Joseph, 29 wickets at 26.75, an economy of 4.51 and a strike rate of 36. He also got 10 wickets in 90-20 at 27, an economy of 9.67. Now, when we look at Ailey Matthews' numbers, there's that on the screen. Ailey Matthews batted. Before I go to Ailey Matthews, I want to go to the other bowler that was on it, because I look at Jayden Seales' numbers. Jayden Seales, 7 matches. So he played 1 match fewer than Shamar Joseph. 35 wickets. He got 6 wickets more than Shamar Joseph, although he played 1 match fewer. His average was 20.25, which is world class. Better than Ambrose, better than Marshall. It's world class, although it's only 1 year we're talking about. Compare to Joseph, 26. His economy is 3.53 compared to Joseph, 4.15. His strike rate is 34 compared to Joseph, 38. Now, when we look at Rutherford, who played 9 matches, 425 runs, average 106.25 at a strike rate of 120 in ODI. And he's also a part of the ODI team of the year. No, he has been shortlisted for the ODI team of the year.
Shortlisted for player of the year. ODI.
He has been shortlisted for ODI player of the year. Now, when you look at Ailey Matthews, outstanding. There's equity, although it is not equal, but there's equity. So Matthews, 469 runs, 78 average in ODI. When it comes to T20, 538 runs, average 36, 14 wickets in T20, 9 wickets in ODI. Who in your mind, gentlemen, should have been the player of the year?
Matthews.
What do you say?
I agree with Basil the moment he spoke about it. For me, it had to be Matthews. My second place player of the year would have been Sherfin Rutherford. I think those are the two top players.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think, Bobby?
Sherfin, I think
by numbers, Matthews. But I don't think I've seen Jaden Seals have a bad test match. And like you said, those numbers are world class. I can't remember him having one bad test match at all. We know he struggles in the white ball game, but purely by numbers, it has to be Matthews. To average 78 in ODIs, then average 35.
36.
36. You know, that is world class.
And then on top of that, she every time she walks out, as I use the word Atlas, she's Atlas 2.2. She got the whole team on her shoulder because she knows we all know this. If Matthews don't make runs, West Indies lose the game.
Well, what's her name? Quiana Joseph would have something different about that in that match against England because Matthews did out cheaply. Yeah. Gentlemen, so why then 35% of the respondent to the poll gave Shamar Joseph the player of the year? And when you look at these numbers, even if you're comparing Shamar Joseph with Seals, clearly Seals outperformed Shamar Joseph. So why is it then that in this poll, Shamar Joseph have such a big win? Because he has 35% of the vote. Second was Ailey Matthews with 26. Why then did he have such a big margin of victory? Can you explain that to me?
Brisbane.
And even the game before. Because he was good in the game before.
In the game before.
Those two matches.
Brisbane.
Exactly. The tour of Australia against the best team in the world, it's very hard for people to separate that amazing performance in that test series and not say, listen, man, that supersedes, that overshadows everything else in their mind. All right?
I remember he got a 5 in the first game, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And he owed Steve Smith his first ball in test cricket.
Oh yeah, that was excellent.
So that,
his story was so compelling. Here is this guy that come virtually out of nowhere, like a meteorite, and shoot to the sky. I think that's probably why people and that's why, again, as we spoke about test cricket, the memories of your feet in test cricket is something the cricket fan remembers more than any other format.
But Seal performances have been in test cricket.
Yeah, but Seal's performances were not of the caliber in winning a match in the way Shamar did. And then you remember Shamar in he got 3 5-wicket hauls.
Yeah.
3.
Yeah. I think he had one against South Africa.
2 against Australia, 1 against South Africa and Guyana.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, there are many examples that I could use to answer Sheldon Smith. And Sheldon Smith have put this question in a narrow, close way. And the question can't be so narrow, it can't be so close, because it is more complex than how you try to put it. Name me, Sheldon, one of these players who are making a lot of money, who Cricket West Indies did not invest in them. And you would you invest in a product, and when you need that product to sell it, when you need to cash in on that product, somebody else is using that product. One cricketer, Sheldon, one that have made it rich in T20, who Cricket West Indies was not the entity that invested in them. Gentlemen, you also can respond to that question.
Look, you know, one of the things you got to have a balance. You have to have a balance. It's not about stopping anybody from going to make the money, but West Indies cricket is the reason why these guys get the exposure, right? If it wasn't for no West Indies cricket, nobody would know who these guys are. So if you're looking to make your money, you also have a responsibility to make sure this brand continues to grow and thrive. And that responsibility is to come and represent that brand, right? As somebody suggested earlier, and we have all agreed, like how Pakistan have it, their players are allowed to play 2 tournaments outside of the PSL. Similarly, well, Pakistan players are not allowed to play in the IPL. So similarly, West Indies, we got the CPL. We have a window. We don't play international cricket in the CPL. I know the IPL have their own window. But outside the IPL window, we should allow guys and PSL window, which will now be in the IPL's window now. We should say to guys, 1 or 2 other tournaments a year, boss. Not like them Bangladesh League and all of them things. No.
Thank you very much. And we know where how strong Dwight feel about this, and that is one entire show for Dwight.
Yes.
You know, and I know how strong Bobby feel.
Yeah, but I want to ask Sheldon something. Sheldon, are these guys gonna come and play for free? Number one. Number two, there's many players who are making lots of money and they still play for their country.
Correct.
I mean,
That's a good point.
Alzari last year got $1 million and he still played every single game for West Indies.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay,
You
so
don't have
I'm just gonna go ahead.
Yeah. You don't have to play in every league, like Baza say. You don't have to go play in Bangladesh T10. West Indies is playing ODI where we need to qualify, and you're playing T20, T10.
Thank you very much. So I'm just reacting to some comments here why Joseph won. Shamar Joseph is not the stats to me, it's the impact. Wilson said, I voted for Rutherford. Shamar had the most outstanding game in Australia, but Rutherford consistency is more deserving of the Player of the Year. And I really think that it should be between Matthews and Seals, but everyone is entitled to their opinion.
I think though, Carlton, lots of these people don't look at women's cricket, right? But the gaudy stats of Matthews forced them; they had to vote, you know. But if they actually see what Matthews, how she carries the West Indies team, man, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Haley is the Player of the Year.
Brian H is saying that people only remember the Gabba. James T. Border is saying Shamar brought tears to Lara and Upa's eyes.
Correct.
We haven't won drawn under over 20 plus. Yeah, but we all agree that his performance was the most impactful of the year. But when it comes to a Player of the Year and consistency, I really think of the 4 nominees, Shamar is really at the bottom of the line. Gerard Mead said Viv Richards rejected over $1 million to play in apartheid South Africa. Loyalty to West Indies cricket transcends monetary rewards. What do you have to say about that, Dwight Chattu?
As you say, I have very strong views of it. People need to understand that it doesn't make sense for us to destroy the thing that is developing the cricketers. Everything from developing age group cricketers to developing at the under 19 years to making investment in club cricket, everything to developing you at a regional level. That's the West Indies Cricket Board putting money into that. The money that the West Indies Cricket Board gets, they're getting most of that money because they're a test playing country. And because of their history as well in test cricket, they're able to also negotiate strong deals in terms of broadcast rights. I think around 80% of the money comes from the fact that we're a test playing team and that we have a history in test cricket. And that's where the money is coming from. Why would you destroy all of that simply because some players are eager to go out there and make a killing for themselves? There has to be a balance.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dwight. And also, having a women program is also very instrumental in us getting that money. So SOS Music Label is saying, I have come to realize only comments that Mr. Carlton likes are read. Politics, wow. Well, let me set that straight, though. Let me set that straight. I want to set that straight because if he interpreted, because apparently I would have skipped past his comment, and really I do not have time to look at the names unless they come up on the screen. But as the moderator, we cannot go through every comment. I have gone through less than 10% of the comments. I have to choose comments as the moderator. I am the sole judge of which comment goes on the screen. Unfortunately or unfortunately, if it's a case where I don't think that your comment merit going on the screen, then it won't go. You know, so that's a decision that I have to make. It may be biased, it may be political, but I can't put up every comment on the screen. Should we have separated the women vote from the men vote? Because really we're not looking at the women player of the year or the men player of the year. We're looking at the West Indies player of the year.
Play of the year. Carlton, as we said last time, you need to get a call in so these folks could call in.
You know, that's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. Let me tell you why.
Because, you know, Carter, what be interesting? We can see how much of them bold because they just criticize me in the comments. We want to come and chat with me.
That comment by MS about separating the men and women's vote, that's not a bad idea, actually. Let me tell you why. Men's cricket is so dominant within the mind of West Indian supporters. Some of the times people just simply overlook what is happening in the women's game. And just for the first few years, maybe it would be good just to separate them, just so that people can recognize some of the strong performances that are happening in the women's game. Because trust me, Hayley Matthew was exceptional in terms of the performance that she put in last year.
Thank you very much. And that call-in is something that we will definitely look
right
at.
Right on.
Yeah. So, gentlemen,
spice up things.
Yeah. So we started with Basil. Now let's start the ending with Bobby. Bobby, please let us have your final comment on this show today.
Well, I mean, 2 hours long. It was a nice show. I loved it. You know, Basil and Dwight spice it up. You know, I love it from both of you guys. You know, and I mean, I also love the comments. You know, the people in the comments. So, yeah, but let's just hope for the best for West Indies in 2025. See if we can have a better year than last year.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Let's go, Basil. You started, so I will give Dwight the last comment.
Again, another good show. A nice, vociferous discussions. That's what makes this show this channel, the top cricket channel in the Caribbean, because we are all passionate about West Indies cricket, and you know, oftentimes disappointed with some of the things that are being done. All the best to West Indies teams come in the new year, and continued success of the top show in the Caribbean, the Cricket Forum.
Thank you very much. Over to you, Dwight Chateau.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to a great year in cricket. I'm absolutely looking forward to see exactly how things will develop, both in the boardroom and on the cricketing field, as we look to change our fortunes. It's unfortunate that Carlton had a little bit too much to drink. He made a mistake in terms of the Hussein thing. He's making mistakes regarding the coaching of the women's team and saying that the coach should go. But Basil as well look as if he also had a sip of the thing with that comment about Colin Croft. But I'll forgive you guys. All right. Looking forward to a great year in cricket.
Yeah, thank you very much. Gentlemen, I want to say, despite the pushback from Dwight Chateau, I still think, and despite Brian H., think that I have too much to drink. As someone who followed the women game. And the thing about it, you see, if you guys were following the women game, you would see that Sean Diaz is our very worst coach. Worst, bar none. Absolute worst. And the numbers show it out, and his comments show it out. And when he get involved in the political domestic affair of the West Indies, he has overstepped his boundary. I'm glad to see Sheldon and many of you in the chat, especially Sheldon Simit. You have always had great value to the show, and we have disagreed a number of times, but we agree on a lot of things also as he add values to the show. Also, SOS Music, you think it is political, you think it is biased, or so on. As I said, I have to make a judgment call. And it's nothing against you. But if you think it is biased or political, I can't stop you from thinking that way. I am not one who really cares how people think about me, because I know who I am and I have the confidence in myself. I am not afraid of criticism, because criticism will only come, let me put that again, criticism will not come unless you do nothing or say nothing. Then is when criticism will not come. But once you are doing something and saying something, you will be criticized. So I'm okay with that if you think it is political, SOS Music. However, I really want to see, coming up in this year regional 4-day tournament, we get some highly professional players from outside the region who are not participating in the Champions Trophy to play at least 1 or 2 matches. May God bless you all. May God bless Jamaica. And we look forward to next week's episode of The Takedown. Take care of yourself. Take care of your loved ones. Gentlemen, it was my pleasure having you. Have a good day, everyone.